Hello everyone and welcome to another one of my Legion guides. It's really been a long time since I've been making these videos, and now I want to continue with a different style of videos. So previously I have been doing a lot of very general ones about how to build, how to push, how to send, how does the economy work. And now I want to get a bit more in depth about certain types of units. And today what I want to do with you is look at a specific unit, and this one is going to be the Bone Warrior and all three upgrades of the Bone Warrior. Before I get into the contents, I want to do like a quick shout out. If you haven't joined our Discord community server Legend Next Season yet, might be quite interesting for you. It's meant as a place for mastering the game together, for like you can get some free coaching sessions. You have a lot of very experienced players there who answer all of your questions very quickly. And we also have a rather active LFG channel where you can find duo partners both for ranked games and for tournaments. So I'm going to assume that you have already watched some of the more general videos of mine, especially about unit placement, because we will be building on top of that now. So you should know, why do ranged go in front? Why do I put tanks like third column? Why does a DPS belong on the wall? Why do I need a split? That kind of stuff is all summarized in like a 15-minute video of mine or something. Just check out my series on the first video in my series on unit placement. Okay, so let's start. We are going to look at the Bone Warrior. You might think just a tier 1 unit, but I'm telling you it's hella flexible. It's pretty versatile unit. It might just be a tier 1, 15 gold. But the cool thing about it is it's both useful in the early game and also in the late game due to its various upgrades. So that we can get a bit of an understanding at what it does, I think a quick look at the codex can always be quite useful. We have the Bone Warrior here with all of the upgrades, and all of them have the same ability, the skeletal regeneration. So it regenerates 3, so a flat value of 3 health per second, plus 3% missing health per second. So the lower it is, health-wise, the more it will regenerate. The base one has 150 health, and this is like a small amount of DPS, 4 DPS. And then there is the Bone Crusher, which is the tank upgrade version, which doesn't have 150, but 1090 health, around 10 health per gold. It's not that much. Other tanks have around 12, but we still have the regeneration ability, which makes up for that and makes it very powerful in the early game. Then we have the Dark Mage, or very often called Dank Mage, which is an 80 gold upgrade. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Bone Crusher 95. So 80 gold upgrade. And this one is like a late game addition. It doesn't really do that much itself. It has very little health. It doesn't really deal a lot of damage. But it has the Mind Warp ability. So increase the attack speed of the highest DPS nearby unit by 30% for 5 seconds. 30% attack speed is a lot, and with nearby it means pretty much anywhere on your board. So it has a very large range. Not exactly the entire board, but it's quite significant. And then the other one, the last one, is the Fire Archer, which is more of the DPS upgrade for it. You don't have that much health here, so it's not like 10 health per gold, but just 5.6. But this one does deal a lot of damage. The stats here lie a little bit because it does not take into account the ability of shooting flaming arrows. So the Fire Archer does a few auto shots. It collects mana, and once it reaches full mana, it shoots one powerful arrow which deals magic damage. And that is one of the main strengths of this one. It deals pierce damage with its primary attack, but it deals magic damage with the ability, and that makes it very versatile and, for example, helps you to kill wave 5. Yeah, where otherwise a PS Swift unit would be very, very bad. Okay, enough talk about this general stuff. Let's get into how to play it. So when we're looking at how to play it, we first of all want to look at it as an opener because it can be very good as an opener. We have two different options for going about this. We can go for the Bone Crusher opener, or we can go for a Fire Archer opener. So the Bone Crusher opener is much easier to play, and seeing that there was like a big event that got a new players to the game, I will start with this one. So you can just drop your Bone Warrior and upgrade it to a Bone Crusher. Usually, I would recommend to put it third column. However, this one allows you for some very sexy wave 2 holding. So I will put it on the wall for now and talk a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages later on. So wave 1, even if we get snailed, hello? Let's go. Even if we get snailed, we just easy hold. I will speed this up a little bit so that we don't need to wait forever. And we can see this healing ability. It's going up and down with the health a little bit. So we can see this plus 19, plus 20. It just heals up, beats up the wave, and we have a very safe and easy wave 1. If your teammate is Fiesta or something, as you could see, it still had like half health. It will regen back up, and it can pretty much just cover a second full lane, even if your teammate leaks like 100%. So that can also be quite useful. Something else to mention about that is it is very slow at clearing. So if your teammate has a lot of workers, then it can be really good because it makes the wave longer. And if you have a lot of workers while the wave is long, you gain more lithium and you profit. It might be bad to go for this if your teammate opens with something like Sakura. Yeah, so they start with like 2 workers and then you give them a long wave or growl into egg or something like that. Then it can be quite bad to go for such a slow opener. Alright, so wave 2 is coming up, and now many people will tell you like, if you add this and that, then it holds 1 snail. Well, I'm telling you, fuck holding 1 snail, we want to hold 2 snails. 2 snails with just adding 2 Bone Warriors. Okay, I just had to look up how the split works nowadays, because it sometimes changes a little bit. The wave 2 is coming up. Let's say it was a long first wave. What we're going to do is we will add 2 Bone Warriors. One is 2.5 squares down, and the other one goes right into the middle, half square lower than this one. So you're going to end up with this. So 1, 2, 2.5, and this one is half square lower right in the middle. And if we get double snails and start the wave, again, I will speed up a little bit. We can see that we have a very decent split going on. All 3 units are tanking quite nicely. Now let's take a look at what it looks like when they're about to die. They split the health pool. You really make the maximum out of the health regeneration. And this Bone Crusher is going to be very, very, very close to dying. You might even see a 0 here every now and then. But this time it's actually quite an easy hold. And again, it's gonna heal up. It's going to be able to cover a lot more in middle than you might expect. That can be quite nice. So, why is this so cool? The amazing thing is we only spent 140 gold on fighters so far, which means you can probably have like 6 workers during wave 2, which is absolutely amazing. So you have many workers and it's a long wave, so maximum profit. Now wave 3 is going to come up, and now we need to start looking at the Fire Archer as well, because right now we have 0 damage on the board, and for wave 3 the Fire Archer can be really cool because it helps you in it helps you with your lack of magic damage. I would always recommend putting the Fire Archer on the right for the split tanking. You should not put it equal split or higher, because then the boss on wave 5 is going to go to the right. Something you can do, just for example, would be this. You add it on the right, you put a cheap unit right next to it or behind it, so like a diagonal, to make sure that the unit, the wave creeps run to the right. and then come down here. So this one, I mean, I did not add a send right now, but even if you receive like a DT or something, it should still be an easy hold. And if this one dies, it's gonna go over, and this one is going to off-tank. Off-tanking is super important with the Bone Warrior, because otherwise you're throwing away the health regen ability. Now that's wave 4 coming up, so I'm just typing this to have a bit more time. With wave 4, all of this is swift tank. You have a lot of tank value, and this one even deals some pierce damage and has some magic blasts. You should be a little bit afraid about receiving either a Fiend. A Fiend can deal a lot of damage into you. The pierce damage can really ruin you, especially if it goes to the right side. Or too many Dragon Turtles. So if you receive like double Dragon Turtle, the Dragon Turtle with the Arcane defense will eat up the magic ability and kind of negate a lot of the damage from the Fire Archer. So that is something to be aware of. If you can add something to kill a Dragon Turtle, like Howler, that can be really cool to prevent that weakness. For wave 5, which is a bit more interesting here, what we have is both a good tank and we have a good damage dealer, because it does deal bonus magic ability damage. If you don't have anything else to really add, then you can just get away with just adding like a second Fire Archer, and you will have plenty of damage, and you should have yeah, enough options to add tanks with the Bone Crushers to also get around that. I'm not really going to run all these waves now, because it heavily depends on how much you will receive and what other units you're going to add in the meantime. But the amazing thing about Bone Warrior is that for now, so like for the first 5 waves, we were not forced to add anything else. With wave 6 coming up, we still have an impact wave into Swift. So we have a lot of tanking or units which can take a couple of hits. So this Fire Archer can easily tank 1 creep on wave 6. And you should make sure that you allow it to do so. So if you hide it too far in the back and it's not tanking anything, then the rest of your units will have to take a lot more of the punishing blows on wave 6, which is what you don't want. So make sure that, similar to this, you pull something into your Fire Archer and make it off tank. Not 3, but 1 or 2 creeps for your Fire Archer, and you will profit. After wave 6, it's going to get a little bit more difficult, because for wave 7, these are neither great tanks nor great damage dealers, and you will need to find a different answer for that. But still, 6 waves are kind of doable without adding too much different stuff. So a very independent unit for the early game. However, what I definitely want to note before I move on to the other opener is that this stuff falls off quite hard towards the mid and the late game. Why is that? As we looked up in the codex, this health pool is not that amazing for a tank. It's around 10 health per gold, whereas other tanks would rather have like 12.5, like an Antler or a Sand Badger. So it's not very cost efficient. This regeneration ability, which makes it cost efficient in the early game, doesn't really work well in the late game. If you take 1 unit on wave 13, it's gonna kick. It's just gonna kick this Bone Crusher's ass, right? It's not going to be able to regen up and make up for that health deficit. So good early game stuff, but don't spam it. Don't be doofus. Don't add 150 tier 1 units. Make sure that you are aware of the mid and late game weaknesses. All right, let's take a look at the other opener that we're able to play with Bone Warrior. So that one is the Fire Archer, and you shouldn't be surprised to see me placing it on the left wall, a bit higher up, as you usually do it with ranged units. For me, the positioning is around this. Why up there? I don't know. I like to place my tanks on 3rd column. I mean, 3rd column is something you should be doing. And I usually put it on the height where this statue is. Maybe higher if I have harpies, lower if I have coilers, but that is roughly my go-to spot for tanking and split tanking. Having consistent positioning can help you a lot, because it helps you remember like perfect splitting. Yeah. So I would always recommend going for perfect splits. Sorry. Yeah. I also recommend that, but I'm recommending to go for consistent placement so that you can practice your splits and get perfect splits. So the fire archer itself is definitely not enough to hold wave 1. So we need to add something on the right in the split. And now there are a bunch of options. This might change every now and then. So I'm making this video in like August 25. If you're watching this in half a year, this might be very slightly different, like that you need to go up half a square or something. But usually they don't change too much about this. So if I place a bone warrior, let's say 1, 2, 3 down, and a second one here. Right now, this one even seems to hold a no snail. It's just a 110 gold opener. I've seen plenty of patches where this was like a perfect fiesta opener. You leak like 1 or 2 creeps, so it can be really good. But right now, this seems to usually leak. I'm not sure how consistent this is. Maybe it depends a bit on the targeting, but as you can see, it's clearing. If you want to go for a fiesta version of this, then what you can do is you sell these and you place them half square lower. So it's from an equal split, it's 1, 2, 3, 3.5 down. And this one is leaking like 33% to no snail. Let me speed it up a little bit so that we don't need to wait forever. And you can now see that these on the right side die. They move over to the fire archer. And the fire archer is just not able to kill it quite exactly. What you will also see very often is something like this. And the cool thing about that is, I mean, it holds wave 1. It does leak small to a snail, like 50%, which is not a problem because you can spend all of your remaining gold in workers. So right now you would start with 4, you would have 5 during the wave, maybe even reach 6 depending on your mastermind with wave 2. And on wave 2, this one still holds a snail and doesn't leak that drastically to double snail. I'm not sure how big the leak is to double snail. But yeah, it's maybe not something you should go for if you get skipped on wave 1. A little lag here, but as you can see, this one holds a snail quite comfortably on wave 2. So very decent opener. Holding wave 2 snail with 125 gold is something that very few units can pull off. The difficulty with this one is kind of to get the split tanking right, to have the correct intuition for how far down you need to place this. And what makes this really difficult is that half a square lower or higher can really make a massive difference. So like half a square down and this bone warrior just dies and you leak maybe 60% or something, can be quite punishing. So after wave 2 is done, you can do something like adding another fire archer on the right side, seeing that we still have a melee unit right behind it. These melee units will make sure that we also pull something to the right. So for example here for wave 3, we can pull some stuff to the right. As soon as these die, they collapse onto the fire archer, which is very important, so that we use the health regeneration of both. So you can see they're kind of taking like equal damage, they are healing equally, and that makes it very powerful. Now, wave 4 is something we don't really need to talk about, because guess what? All of this stuff that we have built here has like perfect typing. It's full swift. These two are halfway pierce, which is like perfect. And the other half is magic, which is also not too bad for wave 4. You should be afraid of something like double DT or even double robos. If you see something like this, if you really want to punish them, double robos can be quite nice, because the robos, if they lock on to these fire archers, they will prevent them from healing up and kind of just kill them. Double DTs negates their damage a little bit, and makes it also rather difficult. And then for wave 5, I mean, what you got, you can turn this into a crusher. Sorry, I need to unpause this. To have a lot of tanking stuff here. These two should be enough to kill the boss, but if you want to keep that one alive, something like this can be quite nice. So these two just kick the boss's ass while off tanking. So this one is tanking the boss. We're easily killing the boss. That one stays alive quite easily. And now we have a 3-way split tank, 3 units that regen, and these purple 50 numbers, those are the magic arrows that just melt the wave. So first 5 waves, very easy, and now with wave 6 we have the same situation as before. Swift tanks, yes, not a lot of damage, and our crushers are already starting to fall off. We kind of need something to help us here, primarily damage. These can take some beating here, just not too much. But if in doubt, adding something like Gate Guard here can be very helpful. With wave 7, we are going to have the same issue as before. The damage is not really great. The tank value is going to fall off quite drastically now. And we should definitely be afraid of something like a Mimic Send. So if somebody has too many Swift units or is spamming a lot of tier 1 units, then a Mimic can be quite punishing, or even a safety mole. Alright, that is all I want to say about the openers. Now, the third part that I want to talk about a little bit is the third upgrade, and that is the Dark Mage. Dark Mage increases the attack speed of the highest DPS nearby unit by 30% for 5 seconds. If we're talking about nearby, then our dear developers mean something like your entire board. So nearby can be quite relative. I mean, if it's in the back and you have a coiler up front, then no, it will not buff your coiler. But basically, the range thing is negligible. This unit doesn't really deal a lot of damage by itself. It doesn't have a good health pool. So first of all, you should not have it in the split, because there it just dies. It's a horrible off tank. And you should also not have it in the early game. This one is a pure support unit. Support units like Aura units or the Dark Mage or Tree of Life or whatever, they rely on supporting a sufficiently strong unit. So what you want to buff is a unit that profits from attack speed. And that is not a Crusher, and that is not a Fire Archer. What can be really cool is something like an Avenger. Why is an Avenger particularly good as a target? I mean, first of all, it's a tier 6 unit. It costs 270 gold. It can even be upgraded further, add another 430 gold. Value to make it a very expensive unit. That's pretty amazing. And it profits a lot from attack speed, because it gains mana by attacking stuff. And by gaining more mana, it gains more attack speed and then starts to pop off. So an Avenger is one example of something which profits exceptionally well from attack speed. There are a few more. I will not talk about all of them here, but another prime example is, for example, the Shadow Dancer, which creates a clone of itself every 6th attack. So if it has more attack speed, it just creates more clones, and it just starts to pop off, right? So those are the typical examples of units which profit the most from attack speed, but you can also always put it on plain DPS stuff like, I don't know, Doomsday or something. That's also still 30% more attack speed, 30% more damage during the buff. All right, in order to not make this another 1 hour video, I will try to keep it as short as possible now and just give you a few closing remarks. So Bone Warrior, cool opener. It has 2 different types of opening. It can be really strong during the first 5 or 6 waves. It is a tier 1 unit. What does it mean that it's a tier 1 unit? You can only find it during the first wave. As soon as wave 1 is over, and the build phase for wave 2 starts, when you re-roll, you cannot find it anymore. Exceptions are redraw and chaos. There you will always find some tier 1s. But for all other masterminds, it is not possible to re-roll into that late game. As I mentioned, having a Dark Mage to buff a tier 6 unit can be really, really, really nice. So if you have Bone Warrior in your initial roll, it might be a good idea to place one somewhere on your board where you can upgrade it into a Dark Mage later on before re-rolling and throwing it away. Because otherwise, you might find yourself wishing of still having a Dark Mage later on. Also, don't try finding a Dark Mage in the late game. You will not find it if you didn't roll it on wave 1. So that's all I want to say. So thanks a lot for watching. Let me know what you think about this this new type of video. I'll try to make a few more of these, and for now I'll say thank you and bye bye.